A year ago, 2 deaths of black men after coming into contact with the police have led to demands for answers.
We're not going to stand for this anymore. People who did this have to be held accountable for their actions.
2 families desperate to know what happened to their loved ones.
Justice! No peace! No justice!
A precious life has been lost. It still hurts, and the fact that till this day we haven't got one simple answer.
Their deaths, together with other incidents, have also raised questions about some officers' use of force against black people. After decades of distrust in some quarters, is enough being done to tackle seemingly deep-seated problems?
I don't know any black young boy or girl that isn't worried about encountering the police, and that shouldn't be.
Last year, police were called to this house in Cardiff on the night of Friday, January the 8th.
He said that the police had come to the property and said that there'd been a report of disturbance. They arrested him. They then took him to the cell, and from what we understand, that's where he remained.
24-year-old Mahmoud Hassan was taken to Cardiff Bay Police Station. He was held overnight and released the next day without charge.
I received a call from my niece. She kept saying he's not breathing.
Despite attempts to save him, Mahmoud died. His death is being investigated by the Independent Office for Police Conduct, and 6 officers investigated in relation to various allegations of misconduct.
A number of incidents over the past 12 months have focused attention on policing in the South Wales area. In particular, questions are being asked about the use of force by police officers on black people. Is it a case of discrimination? And what needs to be done to help build more trust in the police in some communities?
This was taken just outside of his grandmother's house, just after he arrived. Just smiling as ever, looking very handsome there. Growing up, he was quite mischievous.
He always showed love and respect for his family, and I loved him for that.
Mahmoud had been renting a room in a house in the Roath area of Cardiff. He was due to become a father for the first time.
His partner would still living in London, but she would travel back and forth then to come and visit. And the plan was that they would get a place together here before the baby was born.
Police attended the property following a report of a disturbance. His auntie says she saw Mahmoud the next day, and he told her what had happened.
They decided to search him, and he said he kept asking him, what are you searching for? What are you looking for? They pinned him against the hard surfaces in the kitchen and kept hitting him against the surfaces. They got him, pinned him down to the floor and climbed on top of him to handcuff him.
2 officers' actions at the flat are being investigated, and whether their use of force on Mahmoud was necessary and proportionate.
I think he mentioned that there were over 8 police officers at that time in the kitchen with him. And yeah, they just kept hitting him to get him into the police van.
Mahmoud was arrested on suspicion of a breach of the peace, placed in the back of a police van and driven to Cardiff Bay Police Station.
One of the officers being investigated for alleged misconduct was at the back of the van with Mahmoud when he left his home. The Independent Office for Police Conduct says Mahmoud was recorded on body camera, complaining of having a fit, suffering from a migraine, and he appeared to be in pain.
He is seen, apparently, on a footage, asking for help. He's in pain. Why is he in pain? Why is he asking for help? What had happened to him from his flat and in that journey to the police station for him to be asking for help? Why was he passing out? My nephew had never passed out. He didn't have any seizures. He didn't have any epilepsy. Why would he be passing out?
Whether what happened in the police van was passed on to custody staff at Cardiff Bay Police Station is being examined.
The police watchdog is also investigating whether an officer used necessary and proportionate force when Mahmoud arrived at the police station. 2 more officers are being investigated over welfare checks, and a further officer is being investigated over the quality of a risk assessment when Mahmoud was in custody.
Mahmoud was released without charge at about 8:30 in the morning. He got a taxi back to his home in Roath. A short time later, he saw his aunt and uncle.
We came over to our house. As soon as I opened the door, literally, I was shocked. His upper lip was completely opened. He had blood all over his top, his tracksuit bottoms.
He had bruises on his arms, on his torso. When he lifted his jumper, all you could see was just marks, just red, black even. It was just shocking.
I said, nephew, what happened to you? And he was like, it's the police. And when he said the police, it took me back for a sec. I just looked at him again, and so I said, how? Why? You know? Like, I don't know.
They tried to persuade Mahmoud to go to hospital, but he refused, saying he was tired and he went back to his flat nearby to sleep. That night, Zainab received a call from her niece, who was neighbours with Mahmoud.
And she just kept screaming. She just kept repeating, Mahmoud, Mahmoud, Mahmoud. She wouldn't say anything else.
Zainab immediately got a lift to his flat.
I ran in and went down the steps, and that's where I saw the paramedics was already there, and Mahmoud was just lying on the floor. And by that time, I could see from the paramedic's face that she'd given up hope, and there was nothing she could do. What makes it worse is that there's still so many questions and no answers. We still don't actually know what happened to Mahmoud.
I think to date we're up to 6 officers potentially facing investigations.
Hilary Brown is the legal representative for the Hassan family.
Clearly there are suspicions that something went wrong here. Until we have the final verdict from the coroner that absolutely determines the cause of death, we just have suspicions.
So there is a chance that he could have died from natural causes?
Of course there's a chance that he could have died from natural causes, but I'm not entirely sure that anybody can explain away why a 20-odd-year-old young, healthy man went to his bed complaining of being hurt and being in pain, and from that sleep he never woke up. I cannot see how anybody can describe that as natural.
A post-mortem examination failed to establish Mahmoud's cause of death. His inquest is due to take place in May 2023. The police watchdog's investigation is nearing completion. South Wales Police said it was unable to comment on specific points due to the ongoing ILPC investigation, which it says it's fully cooperating with. It also acknowledged the impact of Mr. Hassan's death on his family, friends, and wider community, and said their thoughts and condolences are with them. Mahmoud's death sparked a week of demonstrations. They came in the wake of global protests following the death of George Floyd in the USA. It's highlighted concerns within some black communities.
I don't know any black young boy or girl that isn't worried about encountering the police, and that shouldn't be. The comments that young people are making, and I've heard them say it.
Uzo Awobi has advised the Welsh Government on equality.
The only thing that can help that is the justice that people see. People need to see transparency and openness. And I think the more people see that, it will continue then to help build that confidence back and that trust back. Until then, I think it's tough. It's a very tough and difficult one.
A recent survey found that 44% of ethnic minority people in Britain trust the police. That figure fell to 37% amongst black people. Amongst the general population, the figure was 60%.
Another incident, this time captured on camera, has also prompted concerns about the use of force by some police officers.
My kids just get up in! Get up in!
This incident happened last July after Mikel Bakari ran away from police through a park in Newport and into the back garden of a friend's house.
Shall we?
24 hours earlier, Mikel was questioned on suspicion of driving whilst disqualified. He said he'd been asked to meet the police officers by the park in Betos to produce documents.
And he goes, "Oh, Mr. Bakari, you got the documentations for your van?" And I've gone to show it to him.
Okay.
Gone to show him the PD, and he's gone to grab me. So I'm thinking, what are you trying to grab me for? So straight away, my instinct said, run. So I've run off. I've run this way.
Down here?
Down here, yeah.
Okay. Why did you feel the urge to run?
In fear. Nervous, obviously. No one wants to be arrested anyway. And as far as I'm concerned, I was complying.
After Mikel arrived at his friend's house, he's picked up on camera by a neighbour's CCTV.
Walked in. Came straight into the garden.
He's followed shortly by the police officer in pursuit. A friend of Mikel's said she saw what happened next before she started to film the incident. She doesn't want to show her face.
I saw the officer spray Mikel with pepper spray. Mikel was shouting. The officer then punched Mikel several times. And that's when I picked up the phone and I thought, I better record what's going on. Otherwise, there's no way anyone would believe that that officer done what he'd done.
I thought, right, self-defense. So I managed to hit him a couple of times. I thought, this guy's trying to hurt me. And then that's when I stumbled on the floor here, because he got the better of me, and I stumbled here.
My kids just get up in! Get up in!
And he's still trying to hit me while I'm on the floor.
Get up in! I can bring the police on you!
At that point, I thought, I need to do something, because I feel like if I don't do something, he's going to badly hurt me, or he might kill me. So at that point, I bit his arm.
Let go of my arm! Get off him, man! Off him!
He's like, get off my arm, get off my arm. I said, I'm not getting off your arm. Stop hitting me with that kosh.
Let go! Get off him!
At that point, he's got his kosh, so he's like pushing down on my neck.
I know, I'm rigging a piece on him!
I'm trying to breathe properly with his knees on my chest.
You are 8 of order, you are!
But every time I'm moving, he's using more force. I'm just saying, like, I just want to breathe a little bit, you know what I mean? I'm trying to get in a position so I can catch my breath, you know what I mean?
This on record, I watched you punch him!
The officer then handcuffs Mikel after punching him to the head.
Get off him! Get off him, Nate!
Mikel was arrested and officers took him to hospital due to injuries he says he sustained in the incident, including a broken hand.
I dare you! Male in cuffs. I need assistance with a hurry up.
Driving offences against Mikel have been dropped, but he's still being investigated on suspicion of assaulting and obstructing an officer. Mikel feels race could have played a part in the incident.
I would say that contributes to it, because obviously they stereotype us as black people, or black men, and we're not all the same.
Stay on the floor!
I don't know if his power, a bit of power, gone to his head.
The IOPC is investigating whether the officer's use of force was reasonable, proportionate, and necessary. It says it will decide whether he will be referred to the Crown Prosecution Service to consider any criminal charge, and if the officer has a disciplinary case to answer for gross misconduct.
The use of force by some police officers has long been a cause for concern, particularly when used on those from ethnic minorities. If you're black, for example, you are 6 times more likely to have force used against you by the police than if you're white.
Uzo Obi says it's facts like this which cause tension between the police and black communities.
So do you think there's a problem around trust?
A complete breakdown in many areas of policing, a breakdown of trust and confidence. And I think that it is repairable. But I think the ball is in the court of the police. They have to come a long way, to meet the community, to meet those people who are particularly angry and hurting. And it takes courage. And this is what I think the police and crime commissioners are beginning to do.
Just a month after Mahmoud Hassan died, another young black man's death caused concern. This time after police officers attended his home.
If I'm gonna walk you through the room now, it's really small. So you can imagine like police officers being in here. There's a lot of stuff that still belongs to him.
On February the 17th last year, Moyed Bashir was in his bedroom when he suffered an acute mental health episode.
He literally started destroying his bed. Not present, and it's just take everything out, chucking it out the window that way.
His parents thought he needed to go to hospital, and they say they called 999 for an ambulance.
I was expecting paramedics, but instead, police officers in black uniform with brutal force just coming in.
Moyed lived with his family in the Mize Glass area of Newport.
Yeah. Do you remember the night out now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
New Year's.
Was it?
New Year's, 2015 going to 2016.
The Bashir family settled in Newport in 2006, having left Sudan for the UK a few years earlier. Moyed's 2 brothers, mother and father, had all been granted British citizenship. But Moyed was facing deportation after getting into trouble with the police.
Unfortunately, he got caught up in stuff that slowed down his citizenship. It was a roller coaster of emotions for him. And I think that played a lot and triggered a lot of his mental health, because that's when he started acting up. He started being a bit different. He wasn't the same Moyed no more.
Moyed had been stabbed 3 weeks before his death. When the police called to his home, he still had a large, deep wound to his leg.
When the police restrained him, you know, they handcuffed him, they bound his legs and thighs, and my dad was saying to the police officers, he's already wounded. He's bleeding again from his thigh. Please let go of his handcuffs and let go of his legs.
My dad was just trying to, like, open the door and see what's going on, see if Moyed is okay and what's happening. And then just silence. And after that, panic. That's when the police start going in and out all the time and just on their radio or whatever trying to call for the ambulance and the second ambulance, because my mum, you know, called the first one and still hasn't turned up.
My dad, the last time he looked at Moyed was when he was on the floor, already struggling for life, gasping his last few breaths. And he knew from that moment that this is it.
Mohammed raced back to the family home that morning after his father called him.
He's like, they're doing CPR on your brother. I don't think he's gonna make it. So I makes my way home, and it's about flipping 12 police cars in my street. And then I've walked in the house, goes straight upstairs into his bedroom. His bedroom is just tipped upside down. So I'm like, something's not right. Then I sees my dad. He's like, I need to speak to you. Pulls me into the bedroom. Your brother's dead.
A post-mortem examination failed to establish Moyed Bashir's cause of death.
We're awaiting the IOPC report, and an inquest is still yet to be heard. So it's a bit too early to draw conclusions, would you say?
I think it is too early to draw conclusions, but it's not too early to state again things could have and should have been handled differently. And the tragedy, knowing that he died whilst being forcibly restrained by police officers, is something the family will never, ever understand or get over.
No peace! No justice! No peace!
Within 24 hours of his death, family and friends of Moyed Bashir took to the streets of Newport to protest. They believe Moyed's death could have been prevented.
Straight away, blame unnecessary force from the police.
Hand on heart, I believe personally, if the paramedics turned up on the day, it would have been a different outcome. Moyed will still be around us, with us.
The ambulance service said it always seeks to provide the most timely response and is sorry it fell below the expectations of the Bashir family. Gwent's police said when an initial 999 call is made, a risk assessment is carried out and police officers may be asked to support ambulance colleagues. It said it was unable to address specific questions until the conclusion of the IOPC investigation and inquest. It said it takes the conduct of its officers extremely seriously and points out that none have been served misconduct notices.
It's been more than 20 years since the Macpherson report into the death of Stephen Lawrence, which concluded that the Metropolitan Police was institutionally racist. Police forces across Wales and England are still trying to make improvements.
Barrister Abimbola Johnson has been appointed to scrutinise a new action plan by police chiefs, which has been drawn up to tackle inclusion and race.
I think that it's only fair to accept that there has been some change, there has been some improvement. And within the McPherson report, when you go through it, it can highlight in certain areas that some police forces are doing much better than others. The resourcing is there, the knowledge is there, the ability is there. And now finally we're seeing really, I think, the intention and the will is there at a national level. There is a long way to go, but if it is done in the right way, and if it sticks, it could really revolutionise policing.
She says there is one important distinction between this action plan and previous reports.
The impetus has come from the police themselves, that it's being led by chief constables, that it has the National Police Chiefs Council behind it, has the College of Policing behind it. So actually, what we've always seen historically have been scenarios where these kind of goals have been foisted upon the police. And whereas what we're seeing now is that the goal is coming from policing themselves. So if they fail in this, ultimately it's their own embarrassment. So there's a real fire under the belly of the police to ensure that they get these points right.
Both Gwent and South Wales Police said they are working with diverse community groups and working hard to build on the number of officers from ethnic minorities. They also say they continue to monitor and work to improve the use of police powers to ensure they are appropriate and accountable.
It's been 12 months since Mahmoud Hassan and Moya Bashir died in tragic circumstances, and 12 months on, their families still don't know exactly what happened to them.
The investigation into the death of Moya Bashir is still being finalised, and its publication will depend on discussions with the coroner. His inquest is due to be held in July. Following his death, Moya Bashir was laid to rest in Newport.
The mosque was full. It was a big turnout.
Yeah, really, really big turnout. We didn't expect that much love and support from everyone, but it was there. It shouldn't even be happening, but it's made that ship sail a lot easier.
If we don't fight and stand up for other people, for what happened to Moyed, we're just going to be another case. We want to do our part. We want to do this for the sake of Moyed as well.
And those campaigning for equal rights say it's important that families are given a voice.
You look at the families of Mohammed Hassan and Moyed Bashir, and they're crying and their tears tell me that there's a lot of work to do. The only people who can answer properly are the people whose lives have been transformed by death and have had to engage with the police in a very, very close contact way, like these families. And I think we do need to listen to them.
Mahmoud Hassan's family is still no nearer to finding out exactly what happened. And the full details may not be known until next year. Another 12 months of waiting.
If it happened to a 24-year-old young lad from South Wales of other colour, I think justice would have been, or some sort of justice or truth would have been discovered by now. We're in Mohammed's case.
I can't remember anything else about my nephew. All those lovely memories I had of him, it's like they've gone, they've been wiped out. And I don't have any answers. I don't think any words can describe the pain.